It all started on a Tuesday morning, which is ironic, because Tuesdays are supposed to be dull and uneventful, not life-altering. I had just spilled my overpriced oat milk latte on my notebook when she walked in, like she had stepped out of a dream I didn't even know I'd been having. She laughed, not mockingly, not at me, but in that effortless way that makes your chest tighten without warning. I couldn't tell if I hated her or if I wanted to be her immediately. Her hair was short, dark, and slightly unruly, curling just at the ends in a way that made her look untouchable, yet close enough to want to reach out. She carried herself with that strange combination of mischief and confidence, the kind that leaves a trail of curiosity in everyone who dares to look. "Need a hand?" she asked, gesturing at my drenched notebook. I wanted to tell her I was fine, that I didn't need help, that I definitely didn't need her help. Instead, I stammered, "To think it's ruined." She laughed again, soft and genuine this time, and knelt down beside me. "Maybe," she said, brushing a wet strand of my hair back from my forehead, "but sometimes ruined things turn out better than we expect." And just like that, I was doomed. Her name was Emma. I found out over the next few minutes of awkward small talk and coffee-fueled confessions. She had moved to New York from San Francisco, chasing some combination of ambition and chaos, which was exactly the kind of story I never thought I'd find myself interested in. My life, in contrast, was neat, predictable, and carefully constructed around a reality I believed I understood. I had a boyfriend, a plan for law school, and a playlist that made me think I knew who I was. Until Emma. She had this way of looking at people, like she could see the hidden story behind the polite smiles, the polite conversations. When her eyes met mine, I felt exposed and somehow inexplicably seen. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know that it would change everything I thought I knew about myself. We spent the day wandering through the streets of Manhattan, a mixture of aimless exploration and purposeful avoidance of responsibilities. Emma led me through narrow alleyways lined with murals I had passed 100 times but never noticed. She pointed out the tiny details: a cracked window with a miniature garden inside, a street musician playing a forgotten song, and I realized how little attention I paid to the world before her. At some point our hands brushed and I panicked. Not because it was uncomfortable, but because it wasn't. My body recognized something before my mind did, and that frightened me. "So, you actually like this city?" I asked, trying to mask the thrum in my chest with casual curiosity. "I do," she said, smiling that dangerous smile again. "But not as much as I like its secrets. You have to look close to see them. Kind of like people, actually." I laughed nervously, and my stomach did the thing it does when someone has completely undone your composure. By the end of the day, we were sitting on a bench in Washington Square Park, the last of the sunlight glinting off the fountain. Emma leaned back, closing her eyes, and let the warmth wash over her face. "You have this look, you know," she said suddenly, opening her eyes and looking at me in a way that made me forget to breathe. "Like you're scared to admit that life can surprise you." I opened my mouth, then closed it. How could I explain that it wasn't just life I was scared of? That the surprise might be her? Maybe I just like to be prepared," I finally said, my voice sounding foreign to my own ears. Emma tilted her head, studying me, and then her lips curved into that soft, teasing smile again. "Prepared is good. But sometimes, unprepared is better." Her words lingered long after the sun disappeared behind the buildings. I couldn't stop thinking about her laugh, the way she moved, the way she looked at me like I was a puzzle she wanted to solve, and somehow I wanted her to. We met again the next week and the week after that. Each time I felt that same strange pull, that dangerous mix of comfort and chaos. I told myself it was harmless, that I was just enjoying her company, that I could leave the boundaries intact. But boundaries are tricky. They bend when someone like Emma walks in, with eyes full of questions and a smile that promises trouble. One evening we found ourselves alone in a tiny bookstore tucked between two skyscrapers. She wandered through the shelves with that carefree ease, and I followed, pretending to read titles I had no interest in. Finally, she turned to me, holding a worn copy of a poetry book, her fingers brushing mine as she handed it over. "You should read this," she said softly. "It's about realizing things you didn't know you needed to realize." And in that quiet moment, the space between us shrank until it felt like the whole world had narrowed to just the two of us. My heart hammered, and for the first time I didn't try to ignore it. I didn't try to rationalize it. I simply felt it, raw and unfiltered. It wasn't dramatic. There were no sudden confessions or cinematic declarations. It was subtly touch that lingered too long, a glance that held more than curiosity, a laugh shared in the quiet corner of a cafe. I found myself seeking her out, thinking about her in the middle of boring classes, replaying conversations like precious fragments of a dream. And then, one rainy afternoon, it happened. We were walking back from a gallery opening, the streets slick with rain, umbrellas clashing and dripping. I slipped slightly, and Emma caught me without thinking, pressing me against her side. Our faces were inches apart, and the world blurred. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like?" she whispered, her breath warm against my ear. "To feel something different than you expect." I didn't answer immediately. My mind raced, but my body knew the answer before I did. I tilted my head, our lips brushing in a tentative, questioning way. The kiss was soft, hesitant, electric. And in that instant, I knew I couldn't go back to thinking I was straight. I couldn't pretend that my heart hadn't just shifted entirely toward her. From that day forward, nothing was the same. Our interactions were charged with a secret intimacy, small gestures loaded with meaning, smiles that carried entire conversations. I was terrified and exhilarated all at once. Emma had a way of making every ordinary moment extraordinary. A walk in the park became a secret adventure. A cup of coffee became a shared confession. And through it all, I discovered parts of myself I had never acknowledged, desires I had never allowed myself to feel, a love I had never imagined could exist. She challenged me, teased me, and slowly, effortlessly, she unraveled every carefully constructed belief I had about myself. The weeks blurred into months. Our bond grew stronger, deeper, and infinitely more complicated. We shared laughter that left our sides aching, tears that made us cling to each other, and silences that were comfortable and full. The city around us seemed to pulse with our secret connection, every corner hiding a memory, every cafe a shared story. I had thought I knew who I was, who I loved, and what I wanted. Emma shattered that, and in the fragments I found something more honest, more beautiful. Something I had never expected. Love, as it turns out, doesn't follow rules. It doesn't adhere to plans. And sometimes it doesn't announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it creeps in quietly, devastatingly, and leaves you breathless in the most ordinary place, on the most ordinary day, and yet somehow the most extraordinary. And that, I realized, is exactly how Emma found me. The days after that kiss were a dizzying blur. Every time I saw Emma, I felt the same heart-thudding anticipation, that strange mix of fear and desire that I couldn't quite name. I tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy, to convince myself that this was just an infatuation, a thrilling distraction, but I was lying to myself in the most spectacular way possible. We began spending more time together, sometimes intentionally, sometimes coincidentally, running into each other at bookstores, coffee shops, art galleries, and even the small, slightly hidden rooftop bar she loved with its view of the city skyline. Emma had a way of finding beauty in the overlooked, in places most people didn't notice, and she made me see the world through her eyes. One evening we found ourselves on that rooftop again, city lights flickering below us like scattered stars. The air was cool, the kind that made your skin tingle, and I realized I had been holding my breath for weeks, waiting for something I couldn't define. "Do you ever think about us?" Emma asked suddenly, her voice soft and low, like she was confessing something sacred. I blinked, startled. My heart caught in my throat. "Us," I repeated, trying to sound casual, though I knew casual wasn't even possible anymore. "Yes, this, whatever this is between us," she said, stepping closer. Her dark eyes searched mine, and I felt like she could see every secret, every hesitation I had ever tried to hide. I swallowed hard. I think about it all the time," I admitted, my voice trembling slightly. She smiled, that infuriating, irresistible smile that made my knees weak. "Good," she whispered, and before I could respond, she leaned in, pressing her lips to mine in a kiss that was gentle but loaded with intensity. This time there was no questioning, no hesitation, only certainty, raw and undeniable. After that night, our relationship shifted. We were no longer two girls navigating tentative curiosity. We were entwined in a bond that demanded honesty, vulnerability, and courage. And with that bond came the complexities I hadn't anticipated. I had to confront my own identity, something I had long assumed was fixed and unchangeable. I had always believed I was straight, that my attractions and affections were predetermined, simple. But Emma shattered that assumption effortlessly, showing me that love doesn't follow rules, that hearts are unpredictable, and that the capacity to care for someone transcends labels. One rainy Saturday, we were curled up on my small apartment couch, blankets tangled around us, watching an old black and white movie. Emma's head rested on my shoulder, her fingers tracing absent patterns along my arm. I could feel her warmth, the steady rhythm of her breathing, and my chest tightened in ways I couldn't articulate. I never thought I'd feel like this, I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. Feel like what? She asked, tilting her head to look at me, eyes curious and expectant. Like this. Completely undone, I admitted, the words tasting foreign but liberating on my tongue. Emma smiled softly. Good, she said simply. Being undone can be beautiful. Messy maybe. Confusing definitely. But beautiful. And she was right. Being with her was everything I hadn't known I needed. It was terrifying and thrilling, heartbreaking and joyful, all at once. But love, especially a love that defied expectations, wasn't without its challenges. There were moments of doubt, of insecurity, of fear. I worried about what people would think, about how my carefully constructed life might unravel, about whether I could truly belong to someone who had changed everything I believed about myself. Emma sensed these moments before I even acknowledged them. One evening, as we walked along the river, rain softly falling around us, she reached for my hand. Her touch was grounding, reassuring, and I felt a flood of emotions I could barely contain. You're afraid, she said gently, reading me like a book I hadn't dared to open. I am, I admitted. I don't know what this means for me. For us. For everything. She squeezed my hand. It means we're human. It means we're real. And it means I don't care about the labels, the judgments, the expectations. I care about you. Her words struck me with an almost painful clarity. She wasn't asking me to change or to conform. She was asking me to trust, to let go of the fear and embrace the unknown. And for the first time, I wanted to do exactly that. Our love deepened in subtle, profound ways. Morning coffee became a ritual, each sip shared with laughter and playful teasing. Weekend mornings were spent exploring flea markets and hidden galleries, our hands brushing an accidental intimacy that left sparks in its wake. We argued sometimes, of course, about trivial things, about fears, about uncertainties, but every disagreement ended with understanding, compromise, and a renewed sense of connection. Emma had a way of seeing the world, and that was both exhilarating and terrifying. She challenged me to confront my biases, my assumptions, my limitations, and my fears. And in doing so, she helped me discover a courage I hadn't known I possessed. One night, as we sat on my balcony overlooking the city, she reached for my face, brushing her fingers gently along my jawline. Do you know how much I love you? She asked, her voice tender and unguarded. I think I'm starting to, I admitted, my voice breaking slightly under the weight of my emotions. Starting to? She teased, though her eyes softened. You don't have to tiptoe around your feelings with me. You can fall completely. And I'll catch you. Her words were a promise, a lifeline, a declaration. And I believed her. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Yet, as our love grew, so did the awareness of the world outside our bubble. Friends, family, societal expectations, all of it loomed in the background, subtle yet persistent. I had to navigate not only my feelings but also the potential fallout of living authentically, in a world that wasn't always accepting. Emma, ever perceptive, never pressured me. She understood the complexity of love and identity, the fragility of hearts, and the courage required to embrace the truth. She held space for my fears, my doubts, my insecurities, and in doing so, she became my anchor, my safe harbor in the chaos of life. There were moments of pure, unfiltered joy. One summer evening we danced in my living room, the music loud, the windows open, city lights flickering around us. We laughed until our sides ached, spinning and twirling in a carefree rhythm that felt like freedom itself. In those moments, the world outside ceased to exist, leaving only the warmth of her body against mine, the electricity of our connection, and the undeniable truth of our love. And there were moments of quiet intimacy, to the soft brushing of fingers, whispered confessions in the dark, shared dreams and fears that cemented a bond stronger than either of us had ever known. Through it all, I discovered a depth of emotion I had never experienced, a capacity for love that transcended labels and expectations. Emma taught me that vulnerability was not weakness, that trust was not naivety, and that love in its purest form was transformative. Our relationship was not without its trials. There were moments of jealousy, of miscommunication, of external pressures that threatened to disrupt our fragile equilibrium. But every challenge, every obstacle only strengthened our bond, forcing us to confront our fears, articulate our needs, and reaffirm our commitment to one another. I learned to navigate the complexities of my own heart, to embrace the fluidity of my desires, and to celebrate the unexpected beauty of a love that defied convention. Emma, in turn, taught me patience, empathy, and the profound power of unwavering support. By the time autumn arrived, our love had transformed from tentative exploration to deep, abiding connection. We shared a language of glances, touches, and quiet moments that spoke volumes. Each day was an opportunity to discover something new about each other, to deepen our intimacy, and to revel in the joy of mutual understanding. One evening, as we walked through a park adorned with golden leaves, Emma paused, turning to face me. Her eyes held that familiar spark of mischief, tempered with an unmistakable seriousness. "Do you know what I love most about us?" she asked softly. I shook my head, curiosity and anticipation warring within me. "Everything," she said, her voice steady and unwavering. "The way we fight, the way we laugh, the way we hold each other. But most of all, I love that we chose each other, every day in spite of everything." Her words struck me with the force of a revelation. I realized in that moment that love was not a singular event or fleeting emotion, it was a continuous choice, a deliberate act of trust, commitment, and devotion. And I chose her wholeheartedly, without hesitation, without doubt. The winter brought with it quiet evenings by the fireplace, shared cups of cocoa, and the comforting warmth of her presence. We navigated the world together, facing both the mundane and the extraordinary, finding joy in the smallest of moments and solace in each other's embrace. And as the year drew to a close, I finally understood that Emma had not only captured my heart, she had transformed it. She had shown me the boundless possibilities of love, the courage inherent in vulnerability, and the profound beauty of discovering oneself through the eyes of another. Our journey was far from conventional, far from predictable, and far from easy. But it was ours entirely and completely, and that made every challenge, every doubt, every heartbeat of uncertainty worthwhile. Emma had entered my life like a storm, unexpected, chaotic, breathtaking, and had left it irrevocably changed. And in the midst of that chaos, I had found a love more genuine, more passionate, and more transformative than I had ever dared to imagine. Love, I realized, is not about labels, societal expectations, or preordained paths. It is about connection, understanding, trust, and the courage to embrace the unknown. And in Emma I had found all of that and more. We had weathered storms, navigated fears, and embraced vulnerability, and in doing so discovered a love that was not only passionate and exhilarating, but also tender, steadfast, and enduring. Each day with her was a lesson in courage, compassion, and the transformative power of genuine intimacy. By the time spring arrived, bringing with it blossoms and the promise of renewal, I knew with absolute certainty that my heart had irrevocably changed. Emma had become my home, my sanctuary, and the most profound source of joy in my life. And as we stood together beneath the cherry blossoms, hands intertwined, eyes locked, I realized that love, in its purest and most transformative form, was not about expecting the unexpected, it was about embracing it, fully and without reservation. Spring had transformed the city. Cherry blossoms painted the streets in soft shades of pink and white, and there was a renewed sense of possibility in the air. Emma and I walked through the park, hands entwined, hearts beating in quiet sync. The world felt lighter, yet intensely vivid, as if every detail existed solely for us to notice together. "I never thought I'd feel this way about anyone," I confessed, glancing at her with a vulnerability I rarely allowed myself to show. "Especially not someone like me." "Like you?" Emma asked, tilting her head, her dark eyes full of playful curiosity. "Predictable, cautious, careful with my heart," I admitted, the words slipping out with surprising ease. "And yet, here I am, completely undone by you." Her laugh was soft, warm, and familiar, and she squeezed my hand. "You don't have to hide it anymore. You can be completely undone with me, if that's what you want. I didn't hesitate. I leaned into her, letting the sunlight illuminate the corners of her face I had memorized, the tiny freckle near her temple, the curl that always escaped her short hair. I want that, I whispered. The weeks that followed were a symphony of small joys and tender moments. We discovered hidden cafes, shared favorite books, and explored quiet streets in the city late at night, the world around us muted as if it existed solely for our connection. Each shared smile, each lingering touch, deepened the intimacy between us. One evening, after a long walk along the East River, we found ourselves on a bench overlooking the water. The city lights reflected like scattered diamonds across the rippling surface, and the air was tinged with the scent of rain. Emma leaned her head on my shoulder, and I felt a surge of warmth that went beyond mere affection. "Do you ever think about the future?" she asked softly, her voice almost lost in the gentle hum of the city. I hesitated, the question more complex than I had expected. I try not to. I used to think about it in a very rigid way. But now, I paused, looking at her, seeing the clarity and courage in her eyes. That I just think about us. About every day I get to spend with you. Her smile was radiant, tinged with a softness that made my chest ache. That's all I want too, she admitted. Us. Every day. Our love had become a quiet revolution in our lives. Friends and family were slowly introduced to the reality of our bond, each encounter a delicate dance of honesty, patience, and courage. Some accepted us immediately, their warmth enveloping us like a shield. Others struggled, their discomfort a reminder of the barriers society still imposed on love that didn't fit neatly into traditional expectations. Emma handled every challenge with grace and unwavering commitment. She was my rock, my anchor, and my mirror, reflecting back the best parts of myself I had long ignored. Her presence made the uncertainties bearable, her laughter turned fear into excitement, and her love taught me that vulnerability was strength, not weakness. One particularly quiet afternoon, we sat on my balcony, the city humming softly below us. Emma rested her head on my shoulder, and I traced patterns on her arm, mesmerized by the way she seemed completely at ease with herself and with me. "I've been thinking," she began, her voice hesitant but determined, "about us, about how far we've come, and how far I hope we'll go." I turned to look at her, searching her eyes for a hint of what was to come. "Go where?" I asked softly. "Everywhere," she replied, taking my hand in hers. "Not just the city, not just this moment, but life. Together. No pretending, no hiding. Just us." I felt a rush of emotion, a combination of fear, excitement, and absolute certainty. "I want that too," I whispered, pressing my forehead against hers. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life." Spring melted into early summer, and with it came a series of milestones that solidified our bond. We celebrated small victories like finishing a challenging project at work, discovering a new favorite book, or simply surviving a stressful week with the same intensity and gratitude as monumental life events. Each celebration, no matter how minor, was an affirmation of our shared life, a testament to the love that had grown so organically and fiercely between us. One evening, Emma surprised me with a picnic in a secluded part of the park. The blanket was spread beneath a blossoming tree, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers and freshly cut grass. She had prepared all my favorite snacks, and as we ate, I realized that every detail was infused with her thoughtfulness, her understanding, and her love. "You've made my life brighter," I admitted between bites, my voice thick with emotion. Emma reached across the blanket, taking my hands in hers. "And you've made mine whole," she said softly. "I didn't know I could feel this way until I met you." Her words were a balm to my soul, confirming what I had already come to know. That love in its purest form is transformative, expansive, and enduring. We navigated the complexities of life together, learning to compromise, communicate, and trust in ways I had never imagined. Our relationship was not perfect. There were disagreements, moments of doubt, and challenges, but every obstacle became an opportunity to strengthen our bond and reaffirm our commitment to each other. Emma's presence encouraged me to embrace my identity fully, to confront my fears, and to live authentically. In turn, I learned to support her, to understand her vulnerabilities, and to celebrate the unique brilliance she brought into the world. Together we created a shared life, rich in emotion, trust, and joy. One warm summer evening we found ourselves on the rooftop of her apartment building, the city stretching endlessly before us. Emma pulled me close, her hands resting gently on my waist, and I felt the steady beat of her heart against mine. "I've been thinking," she murmured, her lips brushing my ear, "about how much I love you, and how much I want to spend the rest of my life proving it to you." My breath caught, and my heart surged with anticipation and certainty. "Emma," I began, unable to find the words that could fully capture the depth of my feelings. She smiled, a mixture of mischief and tenderness, and pulled a small box from her pocket. Opening it revealed a delicate ring, simple but elegant, a symbol of a love that had grown and endured against all odds. "I want us," she said, voice steady, "through every challenge, every joy, every ordinary and extraordinary day. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in my eyes, and for the first time I felt completely unguarded, completely seen, completely in love. "Yes," I whispered, my voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." The days that followed were filled with planning, excitement, and shared dreams. We navigated each decision together, from choosing the venue to selecting the music, each choice reflecting the intimacy, understanding, and love that had defined our relationship from the start. Friends and family came to celebrate with us, their acceptance and support adding to the joy of our union. The wedding day itself was a perfect reflection of us. Intimate, heartfelt, and filled with the same warmth and authenticity that had defined our love from the beginning. We exchanged vows beneath a canopy of flowers, our hands intertwined, hearts open and unwavering. "I promise to love you," I said, voice strong and steady despite the tears streaming down my face, "to support you, to honor you, and to choose you every day for the rest of my life." "And I promise you the same," Emma replied, her voice tender and filled with unwavering conviction. "Through laughter and tears, through challenges and triumphs, I will choose you always." When we kissed, it was not just a celebration of love, but a testament to growth, courage, and the transformative power of vulnerability. In that moment, the world around us seemed to fade, leaving only the undeniable truth of our connection. Life after the wedding was not devoid of challenges, but we faced them together, stronger and more united than ever. Each day was an opportunity to explore new joys, to deepen our bond, and to embrace the unpredictable beauty of a shared life. We traveled, explored, and built a home filled with love, laughter, and the warmth of countless memories. Emma continued to surprise me with her thoughtfulness, her creativity, and her unwavering commitment, and I continued to discover new depths of love within myself, nurtured by her presence and support. Years passed and our love only grew stronger, more resilient and more profound. We celebrated anniversaries, welcomed friends and family into our lives, and created a shared narrative rich with joy, understanding, and enduring passion. Every challenge, every triumph, and every quiet moment became a testament to the life we had built together, a life defined by choice, authenticity, and unwavering love. Looking back, I realized that meeting Emma had been the beginning of everything I hadn't known I was searching for. She had transformed not only my heart, but my entire perspective on love, identity, and life itself. Our journey had been unexpected, unconventional, and at times challenging, but it had also been beautiful, exhilarating, and transformative. And through it all, we had chosen each other every day, in ways that made our love unshakable and enduring. As we sat together on the balcony one evening, watching the sun set over the city, I felt a deep, abiding sense of peace. Emma rested her head on my shoulder, and I traced patterns on her hand, marveling at the journey we had shared. "I never thought I'd be this happy," I admitted softly. Emma smiled, her eyes reflecting the warm glow of the sunset. "Neither did I," she said. "But here we are, together. And that's all that matters." I nodded, pressing my lips to her temple, feeling the steady rhythm of her heartbeat against mine. "Yes," I whispered. "Together. Always." And in that quiet, perfect moment, I knew that our love, messy, unpredictable, and beautiful, would endure, a testament to the courage to embrace the unexpected and the power of choosing each other every single day. By the time summer fully settled over the city, Emma and I had become inseparable. Each day was a lesson in discovering not only the world together but also ourselves. I had learned that love could be quiet and steady, not just thrilling and unpredictable. Emma had shown me that passion could coexist with gentleness, and that choosing someone meant embracing both their flaws and their brilliance. We spent lazy mornings in bed, talking in whispers about everything and nothing, tracing the lines of each other's faces as though memorizing the landscape of our hearts. Afternoon walks through sun-drenched streets became rituals, moments to connect with the city and with each other, savoring the small wonders we had once overlooked. Do you remember the first day we met? Emma asked one warm morning as sunlight spilled across her face. I smiled, brushing a stray curl behind her ear. How could I forget? You laughed at my spilled latte like it was the funniest thing in the world. I wanted to hate you. And then I didn't. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. I knew I'd get you eventually. I'm patient like that. I laughed, feeling the familiar warmth coil in my chest. Patient, mischievous, and completely irresistible. Emma leaned in, pressing her lips to mine, slow and lingering. And you're mine, she whispered against my lips. Despite the ease we had found in our love, life remained full of challenges. Work, family expectations, and society's constant pressure reminded us that the world did not always make room for our happiness. But Emma and I had learned to navigate the obstacles together, our bond growing stronger with each test we faced. One particularly difficult day, I had received news that left me shaken and uncertain. I tried to mask my fear, to maintain the carefully constructed facade I had relied on for years. But Emma saw through it immediately. You're holding back, she said softly, taking my hand. Her eyes bore into mine with that unwavering intensity one had come to trust. Talk to me. Let me in. I hesitated, my throat tight, but finally allowed the words to spill out the worries, the doubts, the fear that had clawed at me for weeks. Emma listened silently, her grip firm and reassuring. When I finished, she drew me close and held me, murmuring words of comfort and strength. You don't have to face anything alone, she whispered. I'm here. I'm yours. Always. And in that moment I understood fully the depth of our connection. Love was not just passion or excitement. It was a shared commitment, a willingness to shoulder burdens together, and a promise to choose one another even when life was hard. Summer faded into early autumn, and with it came a quiet, reflective rhythm. The city shifted, leaves turning gold and crimson, the air crisp and fragrant with change. Emma and I spent long evenings on my balcony, wrapped in blankets, watching the world below and sharing dreams for the future. I want us to keep growing, she said one evening, her head resting against my shoulder. Not just as a couple but as people. I want to explore everything life has to offer together. I traced circles on her hand, feeling the steady beat of her pulse beneath my fingers. I want that too, I admitted. I never knew love could feel like this. Like coming home, like discovering something I didn't know I was missing. Her smile was radiant in the soft glow of the setting sun. Then let's make every day count, she said. Let's choose each other again and again. And I knew without a shadow of doubt that I would. We began planning our life together in earnest. The conversations were both practical and dreamlike discussions of apartments, shared routines, travel plans, and someday, maybe even children. Each discussion was an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment, to imagine a future built on trust, love, and the profound understanding we had cultivated over months of intimacy. One crisp autumn afternoon, Emma took me to a small hidden garden she had discovered months earlier. The garden was secluded, a secret oasis in the heart of the bustling city. She led me to a bench beneath a tree with golden leaves, and I realized with a quiet thrill that something important was about to happen. I brought you here because this place, it reminds me of us, she said softly. Quiet, unexpected, and full of life. I looked at her, my heart pounding, sensing the weight behind her words. Emma, I began, but she held up a hand, her eyes shimmering with emotion. I want to spend my life with you, she said, her voice steady yet trembling with intensity. I want to face everything, the joy, the pain, the ordinary days and the extraordinary ones with you. Will you marry me? Tears sprang to my eyes and I could barely speak. Yes, I whispered, my voice breaking with emotion. Yes, 1,000 times yes. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of planning and anticipation. We chose a small venue, intimate and filled with natural light. Friends and family joined, their presence a testament to the support and love that surrounded us. The preparations themselves became an extension of our relationship, each decision a collaborative act of care and creativity. The day of the wedding arrived, bathed in golden sunlight. Emma and I exchanged vows beneath an arch of flowers, our hands entwined, eyes locked in unwavering connection. "I promise to love you," I said, my voice strong despite the tears streaming down my face, "to support you, to honor you, and to choose you every day for the rest of my life." "And I promise the same," Emma replied, her voice tender, unwavering. "Through laughter and tears, through challenges and triumphs, I will choose you always." Our first kiss as a married couple was soft, electric, and full of promise. It was a culmination of months of passion, struggle, vulnerability, and growth, the symbol of a love that had transformed us both. Life after the wedding was a continuation of our journey, each day a new opportunity to explore, grow, and deepen our bond. We traveled together, built a home filled with warmth and laughter, and created countless memories that would become the foundation of our shared life. Even in mundane moments, grocery shopping, cooking dinner, quiet evenings on the couch, our love flourished, a constant presence that shaped every action, every thought, every glance. Emma's presence grounded me, challenged me, and nurtured me, and I knew that I had found not only a lover but a partner, a confidant, and a soulmate. Years passed, and our love continued to evolve. We celebrated anniversaries, milestones, and everyday joys with the same intensity as our first encounters. We faced challenges with courage and mutual support, growing stronger and more resilient with each experience. Emma remained the center of my world, her laughter a balm, her touch a comfort, and her unwavering love a reminder of the beauty that could exist when two people chose each other freely and without reservation. One evening we sat on the balcony of our apartment, the city lights twinkling below. Emma rested her head on my shoulder, and I traced patterns on her hand, marveling at the journey we had shared. "I never thought I'd be this happy," I admitted softly. "Neither did I," she said, her voice warm and steady. "But here we are, together. And that's all that matters." I pressed my lips to her temple, feeling the steady rhythm of her heartbeat against mine. "Yes," I whispered. "Together. Always." Our love story had begun with a chance encounter, a spilled latte, and a mischievous smile. It had grown through laughter, tears, challenges, and shared moments of vulnerability. It had defied expectations, transcended labels, and transformed us both in ways we could never have anticipated. In Emma, I had found more than a partner. I had found a home, a sanctuary, and a love that made life brighter, richer, and infinitely more meaningful. And in me, she had found the same, a person willing to embrace the unexpected, to trust in love, and to choose her every day without hesitation. And so, beneath the stars of countless city nights, in quiet apartments, hidden gardens, and sun-drenched streets, we lived our lives together, messy, unpredictable, joyful, and profound. A love that had begun as curiosity and fascination had matured into something enduring, unwavering, and transformative. And in the end, that is all that truly mattered, choosing each other every day in every way for the rest of our lives. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.